welcome to Marathon Wednesday, the day we do the big catalogues. And today we have got a viewer's request. Lots of viewers' requests coming up, and today we're going to be looking at Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. Now, I don't own much of Nick Cave. I like some of his stuff, but some of it I don't. So this has been one of them real eye-openers for me. I've added a couple of new albums to my Nick Cave collection, but it's alright. Her that shouldn't be married is starting to think, so I've switched her off. As I was saying, I've added a few to the catalogue. So Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, they're an Australian rock band formed by Nick Cave and multi-instrumentalist guitarist Bixer Bargeld. They came from a band that was demise of a Cave and Harvey's group birthday party. They all met at boarding school in Melbourne, so I get where some of the where they're coming from. A bit like Genesis, they went to boarding school. So they've had 17 albums up to date. Some I like, some I'm not very keen on. So if you're a really big Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds fans, you know, you love them. That's brilliant. I'm not the biggest fan, so these are just how I interpret them, and it's not right, it's not wrong, but this is how I went through the list, and this is how I did my ranking. I'd love to know your rankings, as I always do when we do bands that I'm not keen on. I'd just like to see how close I am to diehard fans. No insults are attended here, but I do. This is an honest opinion of the catalogue. So, coming in at number 17, we go to 1985, and the second album, The Firstborn Is Dead. On here is Nick Cave on lead vocals and harmonica, Bixer Bargeld on guitars, slide guitar and piano, Barry Adamson on the bass and organ, Mick Harvey on the drums. First track on this one is called Tupelo. Explosive start. I like this track. It's a really strong track. I like the tempo. I like the lyric and the vocal delivery of Nick. Oh, it's the best track on the album. Say Goodbye to the Little Girl Tree. I do struggle with this one. I just find Nick's style of singing a little bit bizarre in places, so I don't really like that track. Train Long Suffering, another track unfortunately I just couldn't get on with. This. It's shouting instead of singing, and I'm not very keen on that. Black Crow King, I like the music. I like the music arrangement. Nick sounds if he's drunk. It's quite funny. So it's alright, I don't mind that one. Knocking on Joe, dreary as you get. I couldn't make head or tail of this one. Wanted Man, it's a Bob Dylan track. For once I'm going to say that Bob Dylan's version is better. Yeah, and the last track on the album, Blind Lemon Jefferson. I just really couldn't get into this track either. Unfortunately, this is an album I really couldn't get into as much as I tried. The only track I really like on there is the first track. So unfortunately, I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 1 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 16, we've got the 17th album now, released in 2019, and it's Ghosteen. On here is Nick Cave on the vocals, Warren Ellis on synthesizer, flute and piano and violin, Thomas Wilder on the drums, Martin Casey on the bass, Jim Scavanus on vibraphone, George Vesteka on guitar. Additional performers is Ghosteen Viard and Kanesh Gary Puna on tablas. Split into two parts, and the first part's called The Children. First song on this little part is called Spinning Song. Probably the best one again. It's eerie. It is quite ambient. I don't mind that. Bright Horses is ambient but very dull. Waiting for You, one of the better tracks on here. I sort of get this. It's a strange song, but it is interesting. Then we get Night Ride. What can we say about this one? Very non-memorable for me. Not very keen on it. Sun Forest is okay. Quite interesting. Galleon Ship. I like the music on here. Again, musically it sounds really good, but I think the vocals and the vocal delivery is a bit monotonous. Ghosteen Speaks. I do apologise if I am upsetting Nick Cave fans. You've probably all switched off. I just find this Ghosteen dull and boring and doesn't do nothing for me. Leviathan. Like this. It's not too bad. The vocals are a little bit suspect, but musically it sounds good. Part 2 on this is The Parents. We've got Ghosteen. This is far too long. I reckon it's a 12-minute song, and I think it's about 7 minutes too long. It starts off really well and then just goes away. Yeah, I lost interest after about 5 minutes. Then we get Fireflies. Now, this is one of them tracks that the other way. It's a poem basically set to music, and the poem is really good, but the backing is just no. Then we get Hollywood. Again, this is far too long. It's long. It's a bit better than Ghosteen, but it's still quite long. I do like some of the bits in there. There's some different soulful voices on this, and I know I did find it a little bit hard to get into. But on the whole, there's one or two songs on there that are quite good, and the arrangements. But I did find it a little bit repetitive in places. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 4 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 15, we go to the 16th album. It was released in 2016, and it is called Skeleton Tree. We've got Nick Cave on the piano, vocals and synthesizers, Warren Ellis on synthesizers and pianos, Martin Casey on the bass, Thomas Wilder on the drums, Jim Scavanus on percussion and vibraphones, George Vesteka on acoustic guitar, and we've got Elise Trop on additional vocals, Ellie Wyatt on violin, Charlotte Gleason on viola, and Joe Giddy on cello. First track on here is called Jesus Alone. Another track that musically sounds okay, but it's the lyric delivery that I really struggle with. Rings of Satan. I quite like this one. I like the singing. It actually works. Really good track. Like that one. Girl in Amber isn't too bad either. It's a nice tune. Magento, a song that really doesn't know where it's going. I couldn't get into that one. Then we get Anthropocene. A lot of piano on this. I don't mind it. It's pretty ambient. I Need You. I like this as well. I like the singing on it. It's not a bad tune. Then we get Distant Sky. My favourite track off this album. It's a nice duo with Elise Thorpe. It really is a nice song. I like that one a lot. And the last track is the title track, Skeleton Tree. This is quite good. Some nice piano work on this one. It's got a really nice beat to it. What this song really needed, a little bit more tempo. On the whole, I think this album's a little bit better. It's got a bit more tempo to it. I did struggle with a few strongs, but I could listen to this all the way through and sort of get where they're coming. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 4.5. Okay, then coming in at number 14, we're getting the fourth album now, released in 1986. Your Funeral, My Trial. On here we've got Nick Cave on the vocals and piano and Hammond harmonica, Mick Harvey bass guitar and various instruments, including a glockenspiel and a xylophone, Bixabar gold guitar, and Barry Adamson on bass. Thomas Wilder does a few drums on this and plays a fire extinguisher apparently. Don't ask me. Sad Waters. Some nice guitar and keyboards in this, but the lyrics a little bit wishy-washy. The Carney. Now this is one of those Nick Cave songs that's got a story, and the way he delivers it is quite interesting, and it really makes you want to listen to what's going on. I don't mind that track at all. Your Funeral, My Trial. Lots of keyboards in this. It's quite eerie, atmospheric. It's not too bad. Stranger Than Kindness. A little bit different. I like the track though. I like in different sort of tracks. It's got some ambience to it as well. Jack's Shadow. Not keen on this one. It's a little bit non-coherent for me. Hard On For Love. I love the bass line on it. It's very U2, so that's probably why I like it. She Fell Away. Not my cup of tea. I just didn't get that track at all. Then Long Time Man. This one isn't too, man. I love the drumming in it. It's got a really good bass line. Nice way to end the album. Yes, got some good songs on this and some bad songs. But I'll give this one an RTO ranking of 4.6. Okay, then coming in at number 13, we go to the debut album from 1984, From Her to Eternity. So we've got Nick Cave, Barry Adamson, Bixer Bargeld, Mick Harvey, and Hugo Race does the backing vocals and guitars. First track is called Avalanche. It's not too bad. Reasonable track. Cabin Fever. I don't like this. It's just loads of noise that doesn't make no sense. Well of Misery. It's okay. I did listen to this track all the way through. If that's any positive feedback, it's not too bad. From Her to Eternity. Very punky sound to this. I like this one. And I think Nick's vocal really fits on this song. Really good. Saint Huck, best track on the album. I love the post-punky sound on this. That short, shouty sort of lyric fits the mood of this song. Wings of Off Flies. This is a bluesy sort of thing, but there's a little bit of shouty in it as well. It's okay. A Box for Blackpool. All I can say about this is what a dirge. Yes, certainly an interesting debut album. As I say, don't know much about it, but I appreciate what they're trying to do, and their sort of way of doing songs. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 4.8. Okay, then coming at number 12, we've got the fifth album from 1988, Tender Prey. Nick Cave, Mick Harvey, Belixa Bergeld and Roland Wolf are on this. Thomas Wilder's back, Hugo Race is back, and a cast of many. First track on this one is called The Mercy Seat. Very good song. It's not bad at all. It actually sounds good. Nick is singing quite well on this, so I like that. Then we get Up Jumped the Devil. I love the bass line on this. I do like the bass work on some of these tracks. Really good, and got some nice piano work, but I don't like the lyrics. They're quite weird, so not the thing. Then we get Deanna. I like this, very post-punk. I like the post-punk. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, best song on the album. Watching Alice. I cannot quite get on with this in places, but the piano and the delivery of the vocal is pretty interesting. Mercy, this song again, I like the sound of it. It's got melody, but the lyrics are a little bit off kilter for me. But I get where he's coming from and his way of performing. City of Refuge, another good track like this one. Slowly Goes the Night. Musically, it's quite gentle, but it's the wrong delivery of the vocal. Too aggressive. If you've got a gentle song, you need gentle lyrics, not an aggressive lyric. Sunday Slave, a catchy music, very catchy tune. Sugar, Sugar, Sugar. This is all over the place. Disjointed. Seems like it's bits of songs just glued together. New Morning. Musically it's good, but they all sound drunk. Singing, I don't know if I like that or not. Again, lots of songs on here that are good, and lots of songs that are not. But I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Because, you know, it has the ones that are good are really good. Okay then, coming in at number 11, we get a 2013 now, and the 15th album, Push the Sky Away. Nick Cave, Warren Ellis, Martin P. Casey on the bass, Conway Savage on vocals, Thomas Wilder's back on the drums, Jim Scalvanus is doing the percussion again, Barry Adamson's bass, George Viseca's on the guitars again, and we've got Chris DeRay on saxophone, Jessica Nielsen on the bass clarinet, and Ryan Porter on a trombone. First track, We Know Who You Are. This song is really good. I like the keyboards on this. Quite a good track. Wide Lovely Eyes, good track as well. Nice lyrics as well. From this one, a bit of a story, and I like songs that tell stories. Water's Edge, love the bass line on this. Fantastic bass line. Jubilee Streets. I love the guitar work on this. It's my favourite track on the album. It's quite a catchy song. Mermaids, another very pleasant song. Quite like that one as well. We Real Cool. Got some nice string on this, really works well, and I think Nick's voice really suits that song. Finishing Jubilee Street, this one's alright, one of the weakest tracks on the album. Higgs, Bonson Bloom, I like this, it's got that real bluesy feel to it and it's good. And the Push the Sky Away is atmospheric, eerie, it's not a bad track, the keyboards really are the key to that track. Of all the albums I've listened to up to this one, this is the one I really started to like. There's some really good tracks on this. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 5.5. Okay then, top 10. Time for a sip of coffee. So coming at number 10, we have the 11th album from 2001. No More Shall We Part. Nick Cave, Mick Harvey, Belixa Bergeld, Conway Savage, Warren Ellis, Martin P. Casey, Thomas Wilder and Jim Scalvanus are on this one, and the all male backing vocals by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. First track on this one is called As I Sat Sadly by Her Side. The drums are done with brushes, and I love the drum brush sound. There's some lovely piano on this. Very, very good track. Then we get the title track, And No More Shall We Part. My favourite track on this one. I love the pianos and strings together. The backing vocals are terrific. It's one of the best songs that Nick Cave has ever done. I really like that track. Then we get Hallelujah. It's okay. It goes on a bit too long and the lyrics are a little bit repetitive. Love Letter, strings, piano. Yeah, like that. Very, very good. 15 Feet of Pure White Snow. Very uplifting again. Lots of nice percussion. Some lovely piano on this. It's a really good song. And it's a nice... And Nick's vocal really suits this track. God Is in the House. It's okay. Oh My Lord. A couple of minutes too long in my opinion. But it's fast and it's not a bad song. Sweetheart Come. The violin on this is very soothing. I quite like that. You've got that harsh Nick Cave vocal and the soothing violin complements it. The Sorrowful Wife, a little bit lacklustre for me. It's okay. We Came Along This Road, really nice tune. But the vocal, he's putting too many notes in. Doesn't need all them notes. Instead of singing 4 notes, he's singing 6 notes. Reminds me of the Eric Morecambe thing. Then all the notes are there, but they're all not in the right order, sort of thing. Gates to the Garden sounds like a belt. I like this one. It's okay. They've got this sort of rolly sound on it. And Dark of the Day, again, it's not same sort of tone. It's a little bit repetitive. On the whole, a really good album, but towards the end of it, the last couple of songs do sound the same. There's no distinguish between the last 4 tracks. It seems to all just be the same. But there's real good songs, are really good, and I'll give this one an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 9, we have the 6th album released in 1990, The Good Son. So we've got Nick Cave on here, Mick Harvey, Belixa Bargeld on here, and then we've got King Congo Powers on the guitar. I like that name. Thomas Wilder on the drums, Roland Wolf, and Clovis Trindade Rabino doing some vocals on Fuenas Cruz. First track is the Fuenas Cruz. I like this. It's not a bad track. Nice vocal from this Clovis Trindade Rabino. Then we get The Good Son. Starts really well with some nice harmony, but then it just sort of fades away into nothing. Sorrow's Child. Love this one. It's my favourite because it's got a vibraphone on it, and I like tracks with vibraphones. Very catchy tune. The Weeping Song, really good song. Some nice melodies on this. Very good vocals from Nick Cave, actually. Really good track. The Ship Song. I like this track as well. More lovely vibraphone solo on it. Really good track. The Hammer Song. A mixture of genres here. We've got some post punk in it. You've got new wave. It's a really good song. Lament, another song that is really strong. It's got a nice piano and the percussion's really good, and then you've got a nice undertone of strings. The Witness Song, not keen on this one. The singing's a bit erratic. The music, the actual structure of the song is pretty good. It's the vocals that I'm not keen on. Lucy. Unfortunately, I don't think Nick Cave has the vocal range to do this one. The song's good, but it's just bad delivery. A really good album. Strings really make this. I think this is a pretty decent album from Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay, then coming at number 8, we've got the 7th album released in 1992, Henry's Dream. We've got Nick Cave on here, Mick Harvey, Melissa Bargeld, Martin P. Casey, Colmay Savage and Thomas Wilder. First track is Papa Won't Leave You, Henry. This one's pretty good. Getting used to Nick Cave's style of singing by the time I got to this album, and I like this track quite a lot. I Had a Dream, Joe. Interesting track, but the words I don't like. Straight to You starts off promising and then just fades away. Then we get my favourite track, Brother, My Cup Is Empty. I like the arrangement, I love the mix of this. The vocal is really lively and quirky. Christina the Astonishing. There's nothing astonishing about this song at all. It is so dour and boring. When I first came to town, the backing vocals spoil this, because Nick's vocal on this is really good. It's the backing vocals that sort of distract you. John Finn's Wife, like this as well. The string arrangement's good. It's telling a story, and I like that sort of thing, as you know. Loom of the Land. This one isn't too bad either. Pretty solid track. Jack the Ripper. Interesting lyrics, but it tells a story, and there's nothing wrong with that. Another good album. I really enjoyed listening to this one. Some really strong songs on it. So I'll give this one an RTO ranking of 6.6. Okay, then coming in at number 7, we got the 14th album from 2007, and it's Dig Lazarus Dig. So on here it's Nick Cave, Martin P. Casey, Thomas Wilder, Warren Ellis is back on the viola, Mick Harvey's on his guitars. We've got Jim Scavanus on various percussions, and we've got James Johnson on an organ and electric guitar. First track is the title track, Dig Lazarus Dig. I like this track. The guitar riff is terrific, and there's just something about this very catchy tune. Today's lesson. First thing that strikes me about this one is that great bass line. Really adds to the track. Everything seems to be focused on this bass line, and it works so well. Good track. Moonland, not a particular favourite of mine. It's all over the place for me. Night of the Lotus Eaters, very atmospheric, very sort of thing that you could find in a soundtrack. The percussion is quite moving, a really good vocal that suits the song. Then we get my favourite track on this one, Albert Goes West. Proper good old-fashioned post-punk song. Lots of riffs, good drumming, good track. We Call Upon the Author. Really good track. I love the percussion on this. And again, Nick's vocal is really strong on that one. Hold On to Yourself. Again, it's quite an eerie, atmospheric track, and the delivery of the vocal on this from Nick again really works, really adds to this track. Lie Down Here, and then in brackets, And Be My Girl. Solid start, starts well, some great guitar work on this, but what does let it down a little bit is the vocal delivery. Then we get Jesus of the Moon, another quirky tune. What I like about these albums is the percussion and how Nick works his vocals around the percussion. Some nice flute in this as well. Terrific little track. Midnight Man. I love the keyboard on this. It's very atmospheric. Sounds like a bit of Talking Heads as well. Pretty strong track. More News From Nowhere, the last track. It goes on a little bit for me, although it has got some damn good guitar work. Another really good album. Got some strong tracks on this one. Quite enjoyed listening to this. So I shall give this an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Talking too much today. Okay, then coming in number 6. We've got the 12th album from 2003. Nocturama. Nick Cave, Mick Harvey, Elixir Bargell, Thomas Walden, Martin P. Casey, Jim Sylvanus is on here. Got Conway Savage, and then there's just a huge list of people on here doing backing vocals, etc. First track on here is called A Wonderful Life, a really good track. I must admit, when you read some of Nick Cave's lyrics, he writes some very good songs. He's a very good writer. I like this song. He Wants You, a very gentle track with some nice piano on this. The strings work well in it as well. Right Out of Your Hand. It seems like the backing vocals are in a different key to everyone else, but it didn't really click with me. Bring It On, my favourite track. Very in the style of R.E.M. and that's probably why I like this one. It's the best track on the album. Dead Man in My Bed, another solid track. Nice riffs in this, very uplifting. I like the change of pace in this song. Still in Love, another good song. Some great lyrics. It is a really, lyrically, it's a very good track. There Is a Town. Enjoy the tracks on this album. The lyrics are great. Nice arrangement. Rock of Gibraltar, my second favourite track on this album. It's really got that U2 feel to it in places. Great vocal from Nick. She Passed My Window. It's okay, but if it weren't for the violin, it'd be a little bit lackluster, but the violin gives it some depth. Now we've got Babe on Fire. Now this is a very good track, although it's long. It moves in different areas. It's sort of different moods. It's got some Hammond organ in it. It's got some nice gentle keyboards. For one of the longer tracks that he's done, I think it's reasonably good. A solid album. I really enjoyed listening to this one. It's got some really nice songs and lyrics. As I said, I think Nick Cave has quite got an ingenious brain and writing songs. Pity they can't be delivered the same all the way, because his vocals sometimes do let it down, but he is a very good songwriter, I think. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.3. Okay then, coming in at number 5, we've got a double album here, but it's not the traditional double album. It's two albums. I think it's released as a double album. It's called Abattoir Blues, and the other album's called The Lyre of Orpheus. It's the 13th album, and it was released in 2004. And we've got Nick Cave on here, Mick Harvey, Warren Ellis, Martin P. Casey, Conway Savage, James Johnson, Jim Sylvanus and Thomas Wilder. So disc 1 is Abattoir Blues. First track on this is called Get Ready for Love. I like this track. Great guitar riffs in it. Terrific. Cannibals Hymn, great bass line, soft wah wah guitar, excellent track. Hiding It All the Way. I just like tracks like this. And it's a story sort of thing, and it's more speaking than singing, but it actually works on this. Some great riffs in this as well. Messiah Ward, boomy bass line with a great piano piece in it. Good track. There She Goes My Beautiful World. Very good. Very Springsteen and the E Street Band with a lot of style. Like that track a lot. Nature Boy, solid rock song. The keyboard is brilliant. Favourite track on this disc. Really is good. Then we get Abattoir Blues. I love the drum beat in this. It really works. Fantastic little song. Let the Bells Ring. Like this again, it's very similar to a Bruce Springsteen style track. Fable of the Brown Ape, really good. Very, very good. Then disc 2 is Lure of Orpheus. Title track is The Lure of Orpheus. One of them nice little storytelling track that's Nick Cave seems to pull off. Good track. Breathless, some nice penny whistles in this. Very Celtic, very nice. Babe, you turn me on, it's okay. It's one of them songs that plods along, not my favourite. Easy Money, very gentle. Lovely lyric from Nick on that one. Supernaturally, it's got some hand clapping on it for some reason. It gives it a nice little beat. It's alright. Spell, not a favourite of mine. I just find it very tedious. Carry Me, another really good track. Some great backing vocals and some really nice piano on this. Oh Children, great track. Lyrics are fantastic. Another enjoyable album with some really strong writing on this. I like this album and I'll give it an RTO ranking of 7.4. Okay then, coming in at number 4, I've got the 9th album, released in 1996, and it's called Murder Ballads. On here we have got Nick Cave, of course, Belixa Barguilde, Martin P. Casey, Mick Harvey, Conway Savage, Jim Scalvanus, Thomas Wilder. First track on here is called The Song of Joy, and it certainly isn't. It is dull as mud. It is awful. Don't like it. Then we have a cover version of Lloyd Price's Stagger Lee. Certainly different. There's a bit of swearing on this. Don't like it. Then we get Henry Lee. Now this features the singer PJ Harvey. It's a traditional song, and at the time PJ Harvey Cave's partner, and it's a very nice little duo they did together. I like it. It's very nice. We will be doing something on PJ Harvey at some stage. Then we get Lovely Creature, catchy tune like this one. The keyboards are really strong in this. I like the drums. Great little track. Then we get my favourite track on here. It's called Where the Wild Roses Grow, and it features Kylie Minogue. And for some reason Nick Cave and Kylie's voices really work well together. I like that track. It's my favourite one on the album. Then we get The Curse of Millhaven. Gentle stuff on this. It's quite good. It's a bit of a punk jazz fusion here, and it reminds me of The Devil Went Down to Georgia. The Kindness of Strangers, really nice track. Nice gentle stuff again. Love the piano on this, fantastic. Crow Jane, love this. This is very jazz based drumming. I love it. Really good. O'Malley's Bar, it's quite a long track. It's got little bits in it that I don't like. It sort of goes off on something, but it always seems to come back in and gets you back focused, and that's why I don't mind it. Death is Not the End. Now this is a song that features Anita Lane, Shane McGowan, PJ Harvey and Kylie Minogue. It's a bit of a bluesy track. They all sing on this. It's pretty cool. I like that track. Really good album. Some nice duos on here with other artists, and the last song is really strong. I like this album, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay then, coming in again, number 3 is the 3rd album, and it was released in 1986, and it's called Kicking Against the Pricks. Now this is an album of songs by other artists that Nick Cave did his interpretations of. So the first track is Muddy Water, which is a Phil Rosenthal song. These have all got different people on it. So it's got, this is Nick Cave, Blixa Bargill, Mick Harvey, Barry Adamson and Thomas Wilder and Dawn Cave. This is really different to the original. It was a country song, but I like this version of this song, and Nick and the band do a really good version of it. Then we get I'm Gonna Kill That Woman, which is a great track from the brilliant John Lee Hooker. This is Nick Cave on lead vocals, Blixa Bargeld on guitar, Mick Harvey bass and drums, and Hugo Race. I love this song anyway, and I think he does a fantastic version of this song. Then we get Sleeping Alina. This is a Mickey Newbury song, and it's Nick Cave, Blixa Bargeld, Mick Harvey, Barry Adamson, and Thomas Wilder. When this first came out, it was recorded, as I said, by Mickey Newbury, and it was called Weeping Alina, recorded in 1968. Tom Jones did a version of this. It's not a bad version, actually. I don't mind it at all. Long Black Veils next. This is a Danny Dill composure, recorded by Lefty Fizzle in 1958. This is Nick Cave, Blixa Bargeld, Mick Harvey, Barry Adamson, Thomas Wilder, and Hugo Race. A really good version of this country song. Nice guitar work on it. It really works. Then we get a version of Jimi Hendrix, Hey Joe. Nick Cave, Mick Harvey, Hugo Race, and Tracy Pugh on bass. It's alright, but Jimmy's is much better. That's what we'll say on that. Not probably the weakest track on the album. Then we get The Singer, which is also known as the folk singer. This is recorded by Johnny Cash and Charlie Daniels. You've got Nick Cave on it, Mick Harvey, Barry Adamson, and Thomas Wilder. Probably the best song on this album, in all honesty. It's very similar to Johnny Cash's version, and it's just a little bit more deeper than Johnny Cash's version, but it's a great song anyway, and I like that track very much. Then we get All Tomorrow's Parties from the Nico Velvet Underground album. Nick Cave, Blixa Bargeld, Mick Harvey, Barry Adamson, Thomas Wilder, and Roland S. Howard. Yeah, we won't tell too much about that because it's just not a very good version. Then we get By the Time I Get to Phoenix, sung by Jimmy Rivers, but made famous, of course, by Glenn Campbell. Nick Cave, Blixa Bargeld, Mick Harvey, Barry Adamson, Thomas Wilder, and Roland S. Howard again. A great version of this. Doesn't do it, gives it justice. It's not as good as Glenn Campbell's version, but it's a pretty decent version. Then we get the Hammer Song from Sensational Alex Harvey Band. Nick Cave, Blixa Bargeld, Mick Harvey, Barry Adamson, and Thomas Wilder. It's alright, certainly not the best version. Okay, then he does a version of Something's Got a Hold of My Heart. Gene Pitney and Mark Ullman have done this, whatever his name is. We've got Mick Harvey, Nick Cave, Barry Adamson, and Thomas Wilder. I like this version. Not as good as Gene Pitney's version, but certainly better than the version that he did with Mark Ullman and whatever his name is from Soft Cell. Then we get a track called Jesus Met the Woman at the Well. It's an additional sort of gospel song, and it was done by the Alabama Singers. It's alright. It's got Nick Cave on it, Blixa Bargeld, Mick Harvey, Barry Adamson, and Thomas Wilder. Okay, then the last track on here is a track written by Tom Springfield and done by the Seekers. The Carnival Is Over. Nick Cave, Blixa Bargeld, Mick Harvey, Barry Adamson, and Tom Wilder. Not a spot on the Seekers version, of course, but it's not a bad version, quite good. A covers album ranked at number 3 in one of my rankings. It doesn't happen, does it? There's a damn good reason though, because this is a really good album of covers. Apart from one, I think he chose some really good songs and he really gave them a little bit of oomph, and some of them are better than the originals. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.6. Okay then, coming in at number 2 we have the 8th album, released in 1994, Let Love In. Nick Cave, Balixa Bargeld, Martin P. Casey, Mick Harvey, Conway Savage and Thomas Wilder on here. Do You Love Me? Oh, I love this song. This is an album that I've added to my collection. I love the moody keyboard sound on this. The piano's good, nice solid song. Nobody's Baby Now, a really nice gentle ballad. It's terrific, absolutely terrific. Love a Man. We've got some didgeridoo on this, going back to his Aussie roots. It's just an amazing ambient sound. Great vocal from Nick. Terrific song. Jangling Jack. Bit shouty vocals, but it's okay. It's not a bad song. Red Right Hand, a really good track. Very 60s sounding in places. Love the bells in this. It's terrific. I Let Love In. Guitar work is really good. Solid track. Thirsty Dog. Guitar is very 60s, and then it goes into sort of a modern post-punk sound. Fantastic track. Ain't Gonna Rain Anymore. Eerie sort of track. It's got lots of atmosphere. Lay Me Low. This one has a little bit bluesy feel. Nice backing vocals on it. Solid track. And then we get Do You Love Me Part 2. Just continues on from Part 1. Really, really good song. Good way to end the album. This is a really good album. There's not a bad track on this one at all. Most enjoyable. Totally took me by surprise. And now it's in my collection. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. So we've reached my number 1. And I have really enjoyed listening to this Nick Cave stuff. Some of it I couldn't cope with, but I have discovered quite a lot of good tracks, and I now know that Nick Cave is a fantastic songwriter. I really appreciate what he has contributed to the music world. So my number 1 is the 10th album, and it was released in 1997, and it's The Boatman's Call. On here we have got Nick Cave, Mick Harvey, Balixa Bargeld, Martin P. Casey, Conway Savage, Warren Ellis, Jim Scavanis and Thomas Wilder. First track, it's probably my favourite track ever by Nick Cave, and it's called Into My Arms. This is actually a song that he wrote when he broke up with PJ Harvey. Straight from the heart, this is a fantastic track. He seems like he was very, very sad at the end of the breakup. Then we get Lime Tree Harbour, a very good song. It's very piano bar. You can imagine someone singing this at the piano with the bass. It's just fantastic. Really soothing track. People Ain't No Good, a really good song. Lyrics are fantastic. And it's actually a song that featured in the film Shrek 2. Brompton Oratory, a really good track. Very summery, terrific stuff. I like that track. I can sit down and listen to it all day long. There Is a Kingdom, my second favourite song. Another song that was featured in a film, the Justice League film. Great song. You can't get any better than that. Lovely song. Are You the One I've Been Waiting For? Lovely arrangement. I just wonder if it's about PJ Harvey again. Really, really good. Then we get Where Do We Go Now But Nowhere, a very sort of jazz bass, very, very good song. I love this jazzy sound that he got on this album. Then we do get a track that's definitely about PJ Harvey, because it's called West Country Girl, and PJ Harvey is from the West Country. Very nice words, very good song. Black Hair, again, is this about PJ Harvey? I don't know, but there's some accordion on this. It's really nice lyrics like that. Then Idiot Prayer, I just love this track. Very simply put together and really nice lyrics. Very strong track. Far From Me, nice arrangement. The drums are solid. It's nice and gentle though. It's not heavy drums. It's gentle drums. Then the last track, Green Ives, probably the weakest track on the album. Don't like the arrangement on this. It's a little bit weird for me. I think this is an amazing album. Very emotional album. Very thoughtful words. Very personal to Nick. You know, a lot of these songs come off the breakup with PJ Harvey, I think. Not like some other people that have breakups and they write some really depressing lyrics. These are not depressing lyrics. They're all very positive, and especially like West Country Girl and In Your Arms, they really were like a bit of respect to PJ Harvey, and I like that. And he's a very humble man, I think, privately. But this is an amazing album. I've now got it in my collection. I do like playing this. It's a little bit different from all the other albums. That's probably why I like it. It's just a very simple album, saying very simple things. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. Well, there we go. I've really enjoyed this. If I've got this the wrong way round, I'm not going to apologise, but this is how I see it, as I'm not a big fan of Nick Cave. I have now got a few more Nick Cave albums in my collection because some of them are really good. I can't remember who asked me to do it, but thank you. I've enjoyed the journey. Okay, that's all for today, as this is a big one. I'll be back tomorrow though, and we've got a battle of the debut, and we've got two very underrated prog bands that are going up against each other. We've got Gentle Giant and Camel. And tomorrow's pick and mix, we're going back to In the Camera's View, and we're going to look at a DVD and VHS that came out by Genesis, and it's called The Invisible Touch Tour, where recorded at Wembley on the Invisible Touch Tour. I was fortunate enough to see one of them shows, and what a show it was. So we'll be talking about that as well. Don't forget, tomorrow night as well, we're back with the live stream from 8 PM. So have a good day, everybody, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.